Chase a million. I know that's right. You got the President's Award, so not just an administrator. That's
I tell you, you do this enough and you realize that this whole thing is a team.
Yes.
You know, you got to have, because, you know, we as clinicians, we want to get in, we just want to treat people, and I don't want to deal with the paperwork. I don't want to deal with the politics. I'll leave that up to you, up to you to write the grants and all that stuff. You know, so but somebody's got to do that stuff, you know. And when we start looking at us as a society, you know, all this stuff is interconnected. You know, we talk about cutting preschool, okay? If you cut preschool and kids don't have, you cut free lunch. You know, if kids aren't eating, they can't concentrate. They can't concentrate, they can't learn. And then they don't get past the 3rd grade or they don't get past the 10th grade, they don't graduate. Then you got a shortage of healthcare professionals. And now you can't get an MRI on a weekend because it's a domino effect, right? All these things you can predict. There's a thing called ACEs, called adverse childhood events, and you can predict someone's lifespan by how many adverse childhood events they had. So there's these 10 things. They're things like, and most people have had them. Single family, someone in your family was imprisoned. Have you ever felt abused, or were you ever whooped? You know, did you get whoopings? Did did you ever have food insecurity? Did you grow up in poverty? If you got, and so there's 10 of them. If you have 4 or more, your lifespan is 20 years less than someone who has 0 ACEs. 20 years.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal,
mentioned that. Do you think that that's stress related? Does that have to deal with your foundation as a child? Like, what do you attribute?
It has to do all of it. It has to do because if you grew up in that kind of environment, you're likely to take up the habits of your parents. You know, and so you know, if no one told you that you're smart, no one said they encouraged you, you know, to go on. Oh, I'm gonna buy you a microscope. I want to encourage this dream that you have. If no one does it, then or you don't see this.
That's true.
You know, it's not real in your head. You can't be what you can't conceive of.
Yes.
You know, and so all these things, and as I watch what's going on now, you know, in our society, how weird is becoming so stingy. You know, and you don't want to help anybody, and everybody's on their own.
Exactly.
You know, and that has consequences.
It really
for all
does.
of us.
And you know, that's actually one of the reasons why we started this podcast, not just to go back to that, but you know, one of the things that me and my co-founder, Frederick Robinson, as I mentioned, we had another co-founder, Derek Nelson, who passed away as well last year, so our condolences to him and his family. But one of the reasons why we started this podcast, and it's really an event that we do on the first Mondays of each month too, that's an in-person event. We do that April through October. But we wanted to focus on different industries, and it was really to debunk the crabs in a barrel mentality that Milwaukee does have.
Right.
Milwaukee is known, as you just mentioned, well, we can speak on Milwaukee because, you know, this is the city that we're in. Both of us grew up in the neighborhood here. But we sort of have taken on the perception or the idea that we have to keep everything and sort of gatekeep it to ourselves.
Right.
So we wanted to debunk that. What we do on each of these Mondays, we bring a different industry in. So we've done things like AI, we've had truckers come in, talk about trucking, real estate. So we have another schedule that's coming up for 2025 that we're going to share with the guests as well. But just to ask about that, Dr. Izard, I know you also said that you're the president of Cream City Medical Society. I've had a lot of experience with them. It's such a wonderful organization. Could you tell us a little more about Cream City Medical Society?
Yeah. So Cream City is actually the local chapter of the National Medical Association, so the NMA. Back 127 years ago, when the NMA started, black doctors couldn't be part of the AMA. The American Medical Society, so American Medical Association. So we decided we're going to start our own organization, and so the NMA has historically been the organization that basically supports doctors who support people who are underserved, people who seek equity in healthcare, that seek to generate more doctors and treat our patients, and so that's and again, it's a national organization. So, and we're the Wisconsin chapter of that. So our little chapter.
How many members is your little chapter?
We got about 20 active people, people that come together,
cool.
but. There are very few black doctors in Milwaukee, and that's part of the challenge. And so it's easy for us to get siloed into, okay, you work for this company, and you go in, you see your patients, you go home, and you don't talk to you don't see another black doctor all day or come in contact with anybody. So we try to do some things to, support each other socially, but also to come together for goals like, increasing the number of black medical students. I remember when I first got into medical school, I met Gene Pruitt.
Oh, yes, Dr. Pruitt. We were just talking about him tonight, me and my friends.
And so we had in fact, one of our, in my first year of medical school, we had to write a paper. And I decided to write a paper about doctors who intentionally decide to practice in the inner city and why they do it. So I interviewed Dr. Pruitt, and Dr. Pruitt's crazy. He got some stories, yeah. But so so I was asking him, so why are you doing this? And he told me about he grew up and what he wanted to do, and at that time he was a young doctor too. I was young, so I didn't realize how young he really was at the time. But it's because of Dr. Pruitt. It's because of William Walker, who is no longer with us. Dr. Lorenzen.
Cassandra Welch.
Dr. Welch. Yeah. Right. So all these people.
Dr. James.
All these people encouraged me, and fed into me. And I remember Dr. Wayman Parker, who is now in Atlanta. He said, at that time, he said, I'm 54 years old, and I don't have anybody who's going to take up my business when I leave. Yeah. Who's going to help my patients when I'm gone? Yes. And so now I'm 60, and I'm like, the same thing. Who's going to take up? Who's coming behind me?
Is there like a mentorship program or something like that? Like I know I mentioned when I was young, I think I was in middle school or something like that, where they had programs. Are there programs affiliated with this Cream City or other programs that you can share with some of the listeners that they can probably refer their children into or get information on if they have children or family members that are interested in medicine?
One of the things we do is we do raise scholarships. So we give scholarships to the med students and pre-pharmacy too, pre-health students.
Dentists.
Pre-dentists, right, yeah. So that's a big thing. We do try to mentor, the residents and the students. But that's the other thing that scares me is as we see, America kind of pulling back on aid and helping people. All those programs, those diversity programs, it's called affirmative action back when I was, doing those things. Those things, that's how I became a doctor, because I didn't know any black doctors. And first black doctor I met was Laurie Thomas. I was in college, I was at Marquette, and I met Laurie Thomas. I had never met a black doctor personally. Yes. And
what year did you graduate? I'm sorry, just to get the
idea. I graduated from Marquette in 88.
So this was in the 80s, late 80s and everything.
Yeah. And so, when you start pulling those programs away, you can't expect you can't expect people to do things that they've never seen before. Yeah. And you need someone to kind of help you along and say, okay, you can do this. In fact, I went to a program. What really inspired me was my counselor at Marquette convinced me to apply to this summer program at Harvard. I was like, Harvard? Yeah, so right. And I wasn't a great student, so I applied to this program, and I was working as a caddy during the summers. And so I get this letter back from Harvard that said I got into the program, and they said it's going to be at that time it was I think $1,400, and I said I don't have $1,400. So I wrote my letter back and said thank you for the invitation, but now I can't afford this, and I said thank you, and I got a letter back 2 weeks before the program started, and it said, look, we got some scholarship money. If you want to come out, we'll fly you out to Boston. I had never flown before. So I flew out to Boston. There were 89 students in this program. 89 black students. Wow. And I mean, these were serious students. These were like the best around the country. And I was inspired. It really inspired me. And that's when I came back from that program, I said, I can do this.
You can do it, yeah. So you used to be
and so you need to have you need to have those experiences, where someone's encouraging you and saying you can do this.
Well, kudos to you for following up with that letter.
And I wanted to mention also that you were part of last year with Black Men, White Coats.
Yeah.
At the local college, they had a special event for young people.
I heard about that, Black Men in White Coats. I've heard about that too. What is that about, Karen? What is that program?
Well, actually, that program, and Dr. Izard was a part of that as well. But basically, they have it, make it available for your teens and individuals that are interested in looking at health related.
So it's not just for
areas.
boys, it's just black.
Oh, no, it was
the
girls,
boys
yeah,
and
a lot of
girls.
girls,
Okay,
boys
okay,
and girls, right,
okay.
yeah. So there's several programs at the medical college. When I was a medical student, I was in a program called AIM. So I was on the end of the mentoring end of it. And, so it was students, apprenticeship in medicine. So there were students that were interested in health professions. And they were still in high school. So we kind of mentored them. And then I remember there was one young man who was very promising, got into the program, and first day didn't show. So we called his house trying to find out what happened to him. And his mother said, "Oh yeah, he got a job at the airport. He's making more money." So they got a little stipend. Yeah, they got like a $1,000 stipend, but he was gonna make more at the airport. And she does not understand at all that this was an opportunity to get your foot in the
Once in a
door.
lifetime possibly opportunity. Well, I know one of the things that we mentioned here too, because I want to be respectful of your time, is the All of Us research that you just mentioned that you won the President's Award for. So congratulations on that. I did look up some information online, but would you like to share more information about the All of Us research for us, Karen?
Yeah, actually, the All of Us research program is funded through the National Institute of Health. The goal is to get 1 million people across the country. Currently, there's over 800,000 now involved in this program.
Okay.
And what it really looks at, and some people get a little confused thinking like, is it a clinical trial and that kind of thing, but it's not. It really is just gathering data. And so we have people enrolled, there's questions and surveys that they will take. And then they can also share their biosamples, their blood, their urine. And if they don't like to do that, then they can also do saliva.
Well, that's good to know too. So you don't just have to do your blood and urine if people are scared of taking blood. Okay.
Well, what first people's minds go to is first you hear about research and black folks, you think Tuskegee. Right, yeah, right. And that's part of our challenge and that's why we're on the radio.
When I spoke to people, that was a lot of the questions. Like, where's the DNA going? What are you gonna do?
Right. And those legitimate questions because we have traditionally we have been the victims of research, not participants. And so my idea of what I understand is that a lot of these research, like when new medication comes out, we're talking about Ozempic. Okay, they did studies. They had people that were rolling these studies, and they followed them over a period of time, and they watched for side effects and things. But if you didn't have any black folks in those studies, how do you know this stuff works for us?
Exactly.
Right.
And so we got to be part. It's not just it's okay to be part of it. We need to be demanding to be part of these studies and we need to be some of the researchers too. People at the top who are doing the research. And so so that's I always my motto of the show is if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
That's a great one. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
You're on the menu.
I'm gonna make sure I put that in the comments. We're not gonna use that one again. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And that's perfect. We don't want to be on the menu.
Right.
We're on the menu.
Because they stuff they'll still come out and they'll use
with
us,
or without
but
you.
without our consent.
I always tell people that either you're going to get involved in research or eventually you're going to be affected in some way with the medications or different things that you weren't a part of. So why not get your data in there so researchers can really be a part of like identifying certain things that affect you.
Yes.
Because you also share like your electronic health records, and that allows for researchers to be able to see like what medications. I know I shared some articles with you today.
Yes, that was very interesting.
Yeah, and so it was really showing exactly like just by your DNA when you're prime examples like there's over I think it was over 100 type of chemotherapies
I saw that,
for
100 type of
cancer.
chemotherapy. Yes.
However, depending on your DNA, you might need more, you might need less, you might need a certain one to be able to respond. And if you don't know, then how you're going to get the right medication. So we look at more of precision medicine, and that's what we're starting to look and gain towards.
And I think that's important too. Now, I did go to the website, as I mentioned. We're going to put the website there. It's allofus.nih.gov. When I went on there, they said that you can sign up to receive updates and emails. So that's just the first step. So let's say you do want to be a part of this a million people person. How would you do that? And like, what exactly? I know you said medical records. What are they looking for from us as participants?
Well, first of all, you can go to joinallofus.org, and there's questions and surveys that you can fill out.
Okay.
You can read more about the program there. You can also call us at 414-955-2689.
I'm going to just write that down. We just want to make sure we repeat that as well.
Because that way
Karen.
people can talk individually to our staff, our team, so that way they can feel more comfortable, because a lot of times people are like, I don't know if I can trust this, I don't know this, I don't know that.
And
And
what's
so
the
we
number?
like to
Sorry, I
take the
didn't hear.
time.
What was the telephone number once
Sure,
again?
it's 414-955-2689.
So this is a local number here. So you're saying that you have local
We
staff
have a
here.
team, yeah.
Oh,
we have
wow,
a team
that's
of
a big
staff,
deal.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we also go in the community too, and we can do some enrollments. It's been limited right now, because resources aren't as great as they were, but yet still we do go in the community, and we do try to enroll people, to educate them about the program. One thing that's really been successful is Dr. Izard and I, we're on WNOV on the first and third Fridays of the month from 7 to 9.
Okay.
And we bring in specialists in all different areas. Dr. Izard has been like, he's an encyclopedia, I'm gonna tell you.
Well, that's a big deal, yes, because we're happy to have it here, and that's what I'd like to say, that's what we do here at Collaborate. Although the resources and funds are drying up, I think that's why it's more important for us to be doing these grassroots type, planning that we're doing here today.
Right.
So as I mentioned, we do our Mindful Mondays every first Monday of the month, so feel free to come, be a sponsor, a vendor, come and share your information with us as well as some of our guests. So you're saying that for the 414-955-2689.
Yeah, that's our direct number at the medical college.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you can call and you can get information. We can talk you through the process. Some people aren't comfortable going on the computer trying to sign in. And there's a series of questions and surveys, and the purpose of that is that researchers want to know, like, what's your environment, where do you live, your lifestyle, yes, because that makes a big difference with how, your health is, and also what type of medications.
Because Dr. Izard just stated, your food, single parent hospital. I wouldn't even think that things of that nature would be a factor.
Right.
So I guess
even on a more practical matter, like you go and let's say you start a blood pressure medication. As a doctor, I'm going to probably go to my my favorite medication. You try it first, and then you get a side effect. Okay, we'll increase the dose, or we'll lower the dose. We'll try something else. So a lot of it is kind of trial and error.
Exactly.
Okay,
yes.
but we're getting to the point now. We should be able to look at your genes and say, oh, okay, because of your genes, you're more likely to respond to a beta blocker rather than an ACE inhibitor. And so we can save you a bunch of time dealing with medication. Oh, we know that certain people they metabolize statins differently than other people. So when you go on a statin medication, for your cholesterol, you might be one of these people that's more likely to have a side effect of muscle pain because of your genes. But we're finding those things out.
So would you know this by us just participating in this program, or you're saying overall?
Well, overall, but some of it, some of it is you will get that information because the statin metabolism. That's one of the ones that they screen people for. So you will get that information. So you can right away have some useful information that you can share with your doctor.
Now, is there any cost or anything to participate in something like this?
Actually, it really is free.
Okay.
When people
you don't get that a lot free, and something that can help you with your personal health as well.
Yeah, because when people come in after they do the surveys and they want to give their biosamples, we'll also check their blood pressure. We'll check their hip circumference around and blood pressure, right?
Yeah. Blood pressure.
Yeah. So people get that information, so they'll know. Sometimes
like a mini exam, a little too.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, but not as intense. And then they get a $25 gift card. We realize that's not a lot, but it just allows people to know thank you for your time and things like that.
Right.
And then after that, it takes a while before they'll get some of the other information. Right now, administration is changing, so we're trying. So they can't pull your names or anything like that.
That's what I think about. I wanted to know that. Okay.
So everything is just kind of like numbers, and they look at like what's your age, if they want African Americans or Latinos or something like that from the age of 30 to 50, you might be a part of that data or whatever. And so depending on like the types of medication, the type of challenges you might have with your health, different researchers are doing, pulling that data.
Oh, that's
And then they can look and see
Okay.
what's going on in that
And that's
area.
good to know too, because that's what we want to do. That was one of the goals here. We do want to make sure that we do share the information on all of us. Now, if someone did want to participate, I know you did give the telephone number, the 414-955-2689. The website you said was joinallofus.org. Okay,
That's real easy.
joinallofus.org.
Yeah, so sometimes people, they want to read about it, they want to see
Yes.
exactly, and then they can just go ahead and sign up. And then we can reach out to them and let them know and schedule them to come in.
Okay,
so
is that
way we
specific
can-
just to Wisconsin or Milwaukee, the joinallofus.org?
That's national.
Oh, okay, it is. Okay, so
Yeah,
someone
but I
will
mean,
reach out.
depending on like their zip codes and things like that, we'll
Okay.
get that information where we can reach out to people, or they can schedule at one of our clinic locations, and then we can invite them in to get their
That's
biosamples as
wonderful.
well.
And you just mentioned too, what's the name of your shows on WNOV, the first and third
It's called
Friday,
At the
7th?
Table.
At the
That's right.
table, okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's so funny that you mentioned that. One of my friends, her name is Kisha. You may have seen her walking around. She has a brand called Fierce, so that's what this bag is here. She sent me these goodies for Valentine's Day.
Uh-huh.
But we did something called A Seat at the Table. It was a wonderful organization, a wonderful platform that she put together for a lot of women business owners. It was
Yeah.
very fierce. That's what she called herself, Fierce. So I'm just going to share some of her information. She would be a wonderful asset to you all. But these are the shirts that she gave me for Valentine's Day. You could never outlove me, so she has some wonderful sayings on there. Yes.
Okay.
And what was so nice about this, she's a big fan of Tabitha Brown. I'm sure everyone knows who Tabitha Brown is. But she showcased her things 3 different times on her podcast as well. So we're like Tabitha Brown here.
Fierce.
Like fierce, exactly. Doing what you want, living a purposeful life, and not apologizing for it. So, I just want to say thank you to both of you, too, because I can sit here and talk to you until the sun comes up, but I know it's getting late, and we have other guests coming on. So we're so thankful that you both joined us. Thank you so much, Carrie, you as well, Dr. Izard.
Thank you.
We'd love to have them come again, but in the event and until that time, please join them on WNOV, the first and third Fridays of the month. 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. They talk about health-related issues.
Right.
And it's very important that we are included. I think that's what the main purpose of this podcast was for today. We have resources right now. We do understand that we're under different administration, regardless of whom you support politically. We do understand that we have to start taking things into our own hands right now, especially with our health. And they've just shared some tools here with us that are free. It takes just your time, some of your information, just so you can be included in the research and the DNA and the trials and things that are happening. And it's confidential, so it's no cost to you. And you may even get a $25 gift card. You may. We don't know yet.
It's still there. It's still there.
Oh, it is. Okay.